My name is Sainga Turay, and I am the Repairs, Customer Service Planning and Feedback Manager for Enfield Council. And one of my many tasks, if you like, is running the contact centre for the housing service.
Okay.
So we do deal with all kind of communication from residents, be it online or over the telephone, to do with council properties.
Can you give us just a sense of the scale of repairs? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot with kind of numbers you go through in a day, a week, a month, a year.
Yeah, so historically, we typically receive about 80,000 calls a year.
Okay.
Majority of which are for repairs. At any given time, I think we've about 2,000 repairs a month that are raised. But we also have the web chat option and emails option for people to contact us. Yeah, it is quite a large service, if you like.
So obviously there's been a lot of change since the service, when you looked at the video calls and the triage available, and we'll get into that in a minute or two. Can you just paint a picture of what it looked like before you made the changes and before you implemented the video calls?
Before we implemented the video calls, we had our call handling times were really quite long. We are a very diverse borough, so we have people that speak many languages across the borough. And one of the biggest challenges we had was actually diagnosing those repairs with our residents whose English wasn't their first language. So, you know, what we would do a lot of the time is send the wrong contractor because we would misunderstand what the repair is. So we'd raise the wrong job and the wrong contractor would go out, and it may be a plumber that went out for a carpentry job, for example. So it's quite costly to us as a council, but also quite frustrating for our residents as well when they've waited in for that and it's not being fixed. So that's kind of what it looked like before. We then had the additional challenge of Awab's law coming in as well. So yeah, we were really conscious of that coming in, and we knew we needed to get a better handle on how we were dealing with repairs and how we were doing that early diagnostic piece of work, if you like.
And you beat me to it. My next question was going to be around the AWAB's law, and it's been a significant challenge for the sector, and quite rightly so. It's so important that we look at that in councils and housing associations. Before you had the capacity to look at that, though, how were you managing the volume of Category 1 and 24 call-outs in that area specifically?
So Awab's law, although it came into force in October 2024, it only became legal in October 2025.
Yeah.
So we were lucky enough to have our video calls up and running by the 15th of October, just prior to Awab's law. So the staff were all fully versed and trained and had scripts to go by. But prior to Awab's law and prior to the video calling, what we had was just questions, if you like, scripts, and some really quite experienced staff that know how to prize the right answers out of people. But inevitably you're always going to make mistakes, and there are always going to be those circumstances where words may create challenges for people to understand what the repair is. So for example, somebody could say my roof is leaking, but actually what they meant was it's a leak coming from my ceiling. So it would be raised as a roofer job instead of it being a plumbing job, an internal.
Therein lies the difficulty and the challenge for any landlord, is identifying what information you're getting and how you deal with it. I guess that it was quite coincidental, really, that AWAB's law came along, because you seem to have been on that journey. And what was the decision process in you bringing in video triage? Was it just about AWAB's law? Was it also about the wider scale of getting more accuracy? Was it on your radar, or what came first, the AWAB's law or the video triage?
I would say the video triage came first, because although we knew AWAB's law was coming into place, it was one of the factors that we considered, but it wasn't the primary factor, because initially it was around the amount of money that was being wasted, if you like, and missed appointments and these type of things, and the wrong repairs being raised, and what we could do and how far we could really take this video calling. And it wasn't just about repairs when it was thought of. It was around what else could we do and how big could we take this, but that was just our starting point, if you like, to use it in the call centre.
So how did the implementation go then? Were there concerns from staff? And when it comes to change, there's always concern, but also about the tenants in your process. How was it treated?
There were some challenges, and I mean the staff. The main concern of the staff was that they wouldn't be seen. They didn't want to be seen, because they recognise that could be, it's quite private, you know. They don't want to be seen by the residents because it could cause other issues. So we were able to turn off their cameras. So it's only a one-sided camera, if you like. And in terms of, you know, what's going on in the resident's property, we already accept photograph for repairs being raised. So you can email us in photographs. So it's not really that different, if you like, except you're on video. But in terms of retention and the data privacy, we opted not to record the video portion of these calls. So although we still have the verbal commentary going on, if you like, in the background, and that is recorded, we don't actually record the video element, and we don't take any snapshots or anything like that, just to you know, to get over that privacy part, if you like.
And how do you make the tenant aware of that? When is there a notification that comes up, or when you're communicating the change?
So when we click to instigate the video call, we do say to the residents, you know, we're going to send you a link. You need to click on the link to allow us, and we can go through and do a video call with you. These calls are not recorded. The video of this is not recorded. And most residents really, really, really welcome it. Some are a bit skeptical, because maybe they've not tidied up or something, and you know, it's down to the call handler to just put their mind at rest and say, you know, it's just for you to show us the repair. You don't need to show us around the property. You don't need to have your face on the screen, you know, that kind of thing. And it's just around that communication that you have with them.
I'm looking at the impact now and what's really changed operationally. And when it comes to widespread mold and damp, if it is across a room, when you get eyes on it remotely and you're looking at that video and it turns out to be a small patch by a window, for example, I'm getting into the detail now because I think it's important. How often does that happen when it becomes, yes, that is a problem, or that recalibration happens, and what does that mean in practice for you when you deploy a person to look at it in more detail, to visit the property, and to, you know, get to the root of the problem?
So I think particularly with damp and mold, what we did as the pilot for this video calling was we mandated all damp and mold calls had to have a video call, or have a video call offered to the resident, because we definitely want to get eyes on them. Yes, we've got the list of questions to try and identify any vulnerabilities in the property and identify that how big the damp and mold is, damp and mold is, or, you know, and the color and all of these things, but there's nothing like getting eyes on the problem. So when you instigate that video call and you can actually see it, there have been occasions where tenants have almost dumbed it down a little bit, and made it out as though it's not as bad as it is. But from our perspective, because there are some tenants that don't like to cause a fuss and don't, you know, and would rather just sit and wait quietly, because they don't realise the impact that it can have on their health or people in their household's health. So when we do have eyes on the problem, there are occasions where we have to change the priority, because initially they would have said, you know, it's only here, it's okay, you know, can I get an appointment next week sometime? But actually, when we get eyes on the problem, we know we need to send an inspector out immediately within 24 hours to do a mold wash, and to start looking at what is the cause of that and take further action. So that has happened on a number of occasions.
Okay, that's really interesting. I guess that's where the real efficiency comes in, when you get your own words there, eyes on. It's when you can actually physically see it. It might need followed up upon. Just to go back a stage, you mentioned about the cultural differences, you know, and the different language barriers, if that's the right word to use. Do you feel it's helped address that?
Absolutely.
So where people struggle maybe to say something in English, you can see it physically, so that's a plus.
Yes,
Brilliant.
absolutely, and it's something that they've fed back to us as well. So we have asked some of our residents for quotes. You know, how did you find that? Would you mind giving us saying something that we could use in our newsletter, or to share that with other residents? And they have said it helped me so much because I wasn't able to describe my repair, or they've got somebody in their home that's translating for them.
In terms of the numbers, whether that's emergency call-outs, you know, I'm looking at the hours spent from operatives, planned works completions, and so on. Are there any figures you can share that bring this impact to life? I mean, you might not be at the stage yet, but it would be wonderful to hear if you've got any metrics that say you've increased this by that or improved something by this.
Although I don't have costings, if you like, because that's something that we're actively working on at the moment, I can tell you that our WIP for the first time is at a manageable level.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's our work in progress, and we are 100% compliant with AWAB's law across the board. We have had no failings whatsoever. So I think that's, for a local authority, that's a huge plus for us.
I think it's a massive plus.
And it's something that we're working on as well, rolling things out and capturing that data in terms of financially how much it's saved us so that we can do that business case and that return on investment, if you like, piece.
What I'm hearing from you is that this is pretty much a game changer for Enfield and yourself. But how does it actually physically or change the people on the ground, your operatives, your contact centre staff? Are they, I guess, seeing the benefits themselves, less stress, more accuracy, easier to diagnose?
So I actually asked some of the team to give me some quotes in terms of, how they found it. Is it useful to them? And they said, absolutely. It is absolutely brilliant, because I don't have to struggle to try and draw out of people what the repair is. And I don't have to try and work it out in my head what it could be and ask questions and think about which questions I should ask to try and get the best answer. I can now just see it. And once I can see it, I know I'm raising the right repair. And it means that the resident is not calling back again or disgruntled or upset when the operative attends and it's the wrong operative, if you like. So it's not just that it's good for residents, because it's brilliant for residents. They love it, but also my team love it. And they love being able to have that and resolve the resident's query at that first point of contact, which is one of the things that we've historically struggled to do. But yeah, definitely for our residents, it's a game changer. It's a game changer for our team. And it's going to be a game changer for the whole of the housing service, if I'm honest.
Yes, Sainga, I think that's brilliant. It's a game changer for residents, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's about the resident, the tenant experience, the customer voice. And so I think it should be applauded. So looking ahead, really, now that you've seen what's possible with your triage, are there other parts of the repairs and housing service where you think this evidences the fact that technology can make a difference and the process aligned to that technology can make some difference? Is there anything now that you're thinking, well, what's the art of the possible? What's next?
I have had conversations with other people around the business in terms of the housing service when they're doing their audits and inspections and getting eyes in a property to see, because there are occasions where they do need to get eyes in a property, or they do need to speak to one of our residents face to face, if you like. And this is a game changer for them in terms of saving those man hours and of having to go to a property and maybe not getting access the first time and those things, and having to go back again and again. So it is going to be a game changer, I believe, for the housing service as well. Most definitely.
It's not often we see in housing specifically the ability that it can be a game changer for the resident experience, but can also bring efficiencies at the same time, which is a win-win situation, isn't it? Because you're seeing much more efficiency, you're seeing happier operatives, you're happier staff, you're getting through the process, but at the end of the day, you're potentially, well, I don't want to be grandiose about this, but you're changing folks' lives when you're treating mold and damp and their health and the welfare of the property. Sainga, if you were then speaking directly to head of housing or repairs at another council or housing association who's still managing, I'm going to call it the old way, not using video triage and perhaps these joined up processes, what kind of words of wisdom would you give to them?
I would say definitely look into it, because it is going to save you so much money going forward. It is going to make you very efficient, much more efficient than you are currently. It is going to change the lives of your residents, because you will be responding to them and save money on repairs, if you like, and sending out the wrong operatives. But also it's around the resident satisfaction, isn't it? And how we respond to our residents, and that in itself will have an impact on you as a service.
So do you see that changing your TSMs, your tenant satisfaction measures at some stage then? I mean, you might not have got
Yeah,
to that yet. Yeah, I think that's a big
we
plus.
haven't, but I mean, we do capture that information anyway. But you know, we are going to be seeing changes to that. Most definitely is
Yeah,
going to have an impact on that, because you know, once we're satisfying our residents and they are happy and they feel as though the service was streamlined, you know, seamless beginning to end, they pick up the phone, you know, somebody does a video call, they know what the problem is, they get an operative around, they fix it. I mean, of course they're going to be happy, rather than
yeah.
historically the wrong operative attends, then you have to wait and try and wait for a new appointment to be sent to you, and you know, they get frustrated taking more time off work. It is
Yeah.
about that resident end user piece, isn't it, if you like?
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. So finally, looking back at the journey, it's been quite a journey, and you've obviously got some great benefits and success stories there. What are you personally most proud of in the process? Big
The
question.
vision.
The vision.
No, I think, yeah, um that Enfield was able to see
Hmm.
that vision and actually buy into it, because it's very difficult with all the budgetary constraints that we have, to actually invest in things that are game changers for our residents and our staff. So although it's something that we definitely want, without having somebody, you know, trailblazing the way for you and doing it first and then measuring the success, so you can say, yes, this works. We were actually the trailblazers, so I'm really grateful that Enfield allowed us to do that.
Saying in one
Really
sentence,
grateful.
what has this meant for Enfield?
Uh, Happy residents, happy staff.